Shai Gilgeous-Alexander is a player most people don't seem to mention when talking about the best players in the league, or the best guards in the league, or even the best young players in the league. This is mostly because he plays for the Oklahoma City Thunder, who are tanking right now and people don't really care about them. But in my opinion, he should be right up there with just about any young player in the league. And a lot of the stuff he's been doing since last season should not go under the radar just because his team isn't very good. What he's doing is truly incredible, and with him being so incredible since All-Star break and possibly being out for the rest of the season, I decided to talk about how incredible he's been, especially since the All-Star break. So today, let's talk about it.
They be like, what? Can you teach me how to dirty? You know why? Cause all the bitches love it. All I need is a beat that's super bumpin'. And for you to back it up and dump it.
Leave a like on this video and subscribe if you haven't already. I drop regular NBA content, and with the NBA playoffs coming up, this should interest you. So do subscribe to the channel and make sure you stay till the end so you don't miss on anything. Shai, in my opinion, is one of the best scorers in the league. A major bulk of his scoring comes through his drives and finishing at the rim. 14 out of his 24.5 points per game come through dives. Shai is a truly special driver. There are times when he just puts his head down and decides to get to the rim, and it doesn't matter who you are, he's going to get wherever he wants to around the rim. He's 6'6" and has a ridiculous first step and first 3 steps really, which makes him really hard to keep up with. He's just much faster than you if you put a bigger wing on him, and is just much bigger than you and will overpower you if you're smaller than him, which makes him a pretty tough cover. He puts his shoulder ahead of you pretty easily when driving, which makes it tough to make up for the lost ground, and usually leads to a foul even if you're able to get up a contest after that. Shai is legit one of the most unorthodox and funky players I've ever seen, and I mean that in a good way. He is one of the best guard finishers not only right now, but one of the best guard finishers in recent history in my opinion. He plays with the worst spacing in the entire league and is still shooting 66.2% at the rim on 4.1 shots from 0 to 3 feet this season. He's also shooting 59.2% from 0 to 5 feet. One of the biggest reasons he's so good around the rim, aside from the fact that he has ridiculous touch around him, is how unorthodox he is and how funky he is at the rim and around the rim. Shai's movements are as close to impossible to predict as it gets. Other players in the league who are also fast and can accelerate quickly give you a hint on what they're going to do no matter how fast they are. But Shai just doesn't do that. His feet are almost impossible to read. He goes from 0 to 100 so ridiculously fast and does this without giving his defender any hint on what he's about to do. He accelerates and decelerates at levels no one else in the league can. His deceleration is just generational in my opinion. I just mentioned how quickly he goes from 0 to 100, but I'm not joking when I say he goes from 100 to 0 much quicker. One of the biggest reasons for that is how quickly he can relocate his feet. He's one of the best stop and go players not only in the league right now, but of all time. He relocates his feet from driving position to sizing up position to reaccelerating position in the span of milliseconds, giving defenses no time to react to his movements. He has a good short mid-range game, shooting 44.5% from 3 to 10 feet, and he shot 52.8% last season in the same department. Defenders usually sag off Shai because guarding him tight is just asking for trouble, because he'll blow by you like it's absolutely nothing. But the thing is, even when you sag off him, Shai has so many different counters. When you give a guy who's 6'6" with really long legs, who's probably just faster than you that much space to gain acceleration, you're asking for more trouble. Defenders constantly scramble when he gets into them, and with how much space they've given him to eat up while driving to the rim, Shai blows by them even when they're sagging off him. Even if they do manage to keep up, he is the greatest decelerator of all time, and I'm not exaggerating. He'll just stop and hit an easy shot mid-ranger. He does a lot of this stuff in isolation mainly, and out of all players in the league who average more than 3 isolations per game, he ranks 8th in points per possession. All this while, may I remind you, being in the worst spacing situation in the entire league right now. He has many different ways in which he'll finish at the rim. He'll go to a scoop shot pretty often, as that's one of his favorite shots. He goes to the short mid-range very often, as mentioned before. He jumps off the same leg and finishes with the same hand regularly and at a volume no one else in the league does, which makes him super confusing. His 7-foot wingspan allows him to score around players with ease and make shot much harder to contest. He also jumps off one step pretty often. Like most players usually take a right-left or a left-right before finishing with either hands. but Shai will just jump off one step and makes it even more confusing for his defenders. This is not even all of it. He'll split double teams like it's nothing because he has super long feet. He uses his Euro step to absolute perfection, and him using the same leg, same hand finishes consistently is used as a leverage for his Euro step because defenders always have to be wary of the other type of finishes. Shai is truly one of the best and craftiest finishers in the entire league. The stuff he does with his feet and hand is absolutely insane, and him being only 23 years old right now with a lot of room to improve makes it that much more scary. He's already taken massive strides as a player in the last 2 years in my opinion. Playing alongside Chris Paul was one of the best things which could have happened to him and his career. His passive has taken massive strides recently after being a below average passer coming into the league. His pick and roll ball handling has improved, and he has learnt a lot of stuff from Chris Paul like manipulating weak side help defenders and leveraging his finishing for better opportunities for his teammates. He doesn't really have a good role man right now, so his pick and roll improvements can't really be shown through his numbers. But hopefully when he gets a good role man next season, his pick and roll development can be seen by many others. But yeah, him constantly getting to the rim forces defenses to collapse on him and leaves shooters open, which he does a very good job at finding. The problem is the Thunder are the worst space team in the league, and all the open looks he creates aren't even really showcased through his assist numbers. He's the primary creator and the only positive shot creator on the Thunder right now. Opposing teams game plan for him a lot, and the entire defense is focused on guarding him. He's constantly doubled, as he's doubled 17.4 times every game, which ranks second in the entire league. He either constantly creates advantages for his teammates using these double teams, which create a brief 4 vs 3 situation which allows them to get an easy bucket, which, spoiler alert, they don't convert very often. But even then, Shai can constantly split these double teams from defenders as mentioned before, which allows him to get an easy bucket at the rim. A lot of his playmaking value and advantage creation is based on him being the only positive creator on the team right now. So when people say he's on a better team eventually, he won't be as good of a playmaker. In my opinion, even though this argument holds some credibility, his rim pressure and finishing game is so ridiculous that defenses will constantly have to respect him, which will allow him to be a great playmaker throughout. And even if this isn't the case, he'll be able to score at a really high level because he'll have lesser defensive attention on him with a much better team around him. In my opinion, Shai is already one of the best scorers in the league, and he has the potential to be one of the 5 best scorers in the league at some point in his career in my opinion. I'm much higher on him than most people seem to be, but I think he legitimately has the potential to be a superstar and a legit franchise player in my opinion. What will decide how much better he can get is his jumper. He struggled with it this year, but I think the biggest reason for that is his ankle hindering him during the first half of the season and him trying out a new shooting form. But his shooting splits since the All-Star break is more depicted towards his actual shooting ability in my opinion. He's been a very good shooter for the last 3 years of his career, so I don't think this 40 game stretch is what will make me decide that he's not a good shooter anymore. I think people will realize how good he really is when the Thunder are good again, and people will also realize how good of a defender he can be when he has a much lesser offensive load on him, which is hopefully pretty soon and probably much closer than most people might realize. And hopefully this video did justice to how ridiculous of a player he is right now and how criminal it is that no one is really talking about it. With that, we've come to the end of the video. Be sure to leave a like and subscribe if you haven't already.